Hey guys, it is Naturally Mimi back here with another video, and today I'm going to talk to you about how I do my reties and the tips I'm going to share with you I have learned during the pandemic. I started doing my own retightens because obviously pandemic, and I now also live in an area where there are no Sisterlock consultants. So yeah, I had to learn how to do it myself. I have a few tips that I have learned just by going through the process and by watching other people's videos as well. And I'm gonna share those tips with you. And if anybody else has any suggestions on how to make a retie a better process, if that's possible, feel free to comment below. Let us know like what your suggestions are. That somebody asked me this question on my Instagram page at Miss Naturally Mimi, so feel free to follow me there because I do make suggestions. I post pictures of my hair journey there. So this was actually a DM question. This person had some questions, so thanks for the question. And I'm just basically sharing with you what I shared with her. I have a long list. And as usual, I have to look down to see what my first question is because by the time the intro's done, I can't remember what the first bullet point is. I don't know what it is, but anyways. Okay. Did I take a Sisterlock retightening course? No, I didn't. I'm self-taught. I am YouTube taught. And there's some really great videos online that you can reference for some like tips and tricks and basically like step-by-step tutorials on how to complete your retighten. To be honest, I did not expect to have to be able to retie my hair, but look at life. This is just how we learn. This is how we grow. Things happen, and then it's like, oh, okay, nobody else is gonna do my hair. It's me. It's gonna be me. No problem. So I was like definitely really scared. I didn't even have like a tool or anything to use. So I had actually watched a video before on how to make like my own sister locking tool. Actually, it's not a sister locking tool, but it was a video on how to make a tool to retighten your hair using the interlocking method. I keep my tool in an old container that was used for needles. And basically what I did, I bought a crochet needle from Walmart, and usually the needle is about like this long. It's in like before it gets cut. So I bought a crochet needle. It came with a little crochet hook as well that some people would use if they were like crocheting their hair. I don't use that at all. I just wanted the plastic needle. So that is the tool. I ended up cutting about 3/4 of the needle to this length. That's my preferred length because I have some shorter locks in the front of my hair and I just like this length for my tool. It has an opening at the end where I loop my hair through, and then a point on the other end so that it's easier to like move the tool between my locks. Now I used a nail file to file it down into a point. So this was super easy to make, and it was probably like no more than $3. I love this tool. I carry it in my purse. I take it everywhere I go because you just never know when you might be in the mood to retighten your hair. Nobody's ever in the mood to retighten their hair. Definitely not me. But it's certainly really convenient for me to carry it around in my purse. I always know exactly where it is. So I do suggest keeping your tool in the same place so that you always know where it is. So my locks are in a 4-point rotation. And that basically means that every time I do a retie on each individual lock, I loop it through 4 times. I'm always trying to aim for 4, but you don't want to retighten it too tightly because that's what will contribute to thinning locks, which is something my consultant mentioned. I was able to actually get a retighten for my last retie because I did travel and isolated for 14 days after, but that's another story. And so she said I did a really good job, or that I've been doing a really good job maintaining my hair, but to look out for over tightening it. So she's like, it's better for it to be a little bit looser than it is to be tighter, because when you retighten them too tightly, it will contribute to thinner locks. You don't want none of that. I got a thin lock right here in the front. I don't know if that's because I've been retightening it too tightly or if I've been over styling. I'm gonna assume it's because of over styling, because I just love to style my hair. It is what it is. I really like parting my hair in 4 and going down the middle, all the way down to the back. Then I take my hair and make a line down here and put that in a bun. Then I do the same thing on this side. I take that hair and put it in a bun. And then I bun the 2 back sections. So when I'm doing my retightens, I find that's just easier for me to wear my hair out, because I take a couple days to do my retightens, or like 2 or 4 days. So the shortest has been 2 days. That was my last retighten. My last one, I think I did it in 3, and then prior to that, it took me 4 days. So maybe like 4, 5, or 6 hours each day. But what splitting it in 4 does for me, it makes it more bite-sized, but it also makes it easier for me to wear out. So if I start, in the back section, that means that if I have to like go, not really going anywhere because we are in the middle of a pandemic, but if I have to go to the grocery store, or if I have to run into the office for something, or if I'm, I don't know, maybe just catching up with a friend, then I can wear it down and leave these 2 unfinished parts up in like cute little mini bun style, and it still looks really adorable. But I find like it just helps make the retighten easier because it's bite-sized. I'm not like just working, with the hair loose and in the way, and it increases like how many tangles you have when it's not like separated in a way that makes it easier for you to do your retighten. So I find that has definitely made my retie process a lot easier, putting my hair into 4 chunks. And you can pick like whatever is bite-sized or, most convenient for you. Like maybe you want to just put your hair in 2 parts, 1 here and 1 here, and work that way. Maybe you want to do 6 parts. It's up to you. Do whatever will work best for you. And, speaking of parting, as you're parting, for me, I don't use a mirror when I'm working in the back, but I do it row by row. So I'll start with 1 row, do the interlock. Next row, do the interlocking. And as I get closer to the front, then I will use a mirror. So I actually don't have a stand-up mirror. And this is I call creative way. Some people might say it's bootleg, but I think it's really creative. So I open my MacBook to the FaceTime screen so that it's facing me and I can see myself. And then as I start working on the sides, I'm just looking at myself as I'm doing my retighten, and I can make my lines going horizontally towards the back of my hair, and that gives me such a neat retie. And I will show you how neat my rows look because I use a mirror, well, a MacBook. But if you have a mirror, then like by all means use a mirror, but you can see that my grid is still very much intact because I use that mirror to help me keep the line straight. My very first retighten, I didn't use a mirror and my lines were still straight, but they're definitely, a lot cleaner when I use the mirror or like the MacBook Open to make my lines. I just find it makes it so much easier for me. And it also helps, me separate them a little bit easier so that they don't get tangled. And speaking of tangling, do not, under any circumstances, unless you can see the tangle or unless you have experience removing tangles from your hair, do not attempt to loop your interlocking tool back trying to unhook a lock. It will not work. You will get a knot. And trust me, it is the temptation of all of us. I have done it to myself so many times thinking, okay, I can see exactly where I looped this through. I'm just going to loop it through backwards. It is a lie. The devil is a liar. Do not fall for it. Leave it and move on. Get somebody else, if you can, to help you unloop that lock. I've only done it once successfully where I was able to loop it backwards and unknot it. Every other time I have created a knot all over my hair. And trust me, I have a lot of knots. If I can find one, I will show you. I have been able to continue like locking my hair with, the little bump. It basically just becomes like a little bump in your locks, but don't do it. Trust me, it will not work. I have done it too many times. If I have made a knot or if I have looped two locks together near like a section where if I go into a well-lit bathroom, I can unloop it, I will do that. That is no problem. It's the best feeling ever. The worst feeling is making the knot just worse and worse and worse. And I know that instinct to just try and correct it yourself is really strong. My last retighten, I didn't listen to myself and my own advice, and I tried to loop it backwards. So I do have a knot right here on this side, and I'm gonna have to get somebody to help me unhook it. So I just left it. I didn't finish the retie on that lock. So I've got two locks that I accidentally looped together. Now, sometimes they're not necessarily knotted together. Sometimes a lock may just end up being connected to another, and you can actually just slide it out and continue on with your retie. You'll start to know the difference between a lock that is interlocked together and a lock that's just hooked together. It's a thing. The experience will teach you. You will learn and you will know the difference. But whatever you do, if you make a knot or if you cannot remove it yourself, do not under any circumstances try to loop it back through, because you're just going to end up making a knot. Been there, done that. Don't do it. I also would suggest shortening the length of time between your retightens. So, the idea is not to be constantly retying your hair, because you do want to have like a decent amount of undergrowth. I kind of relate it back to like when I was relaxing my hair. I needed to have like a decent amount of undergrowth to relax my hair without, damaging my scalp or my hair. I did both, so obviously I'm not a good learner, but whatever. The goal is to have like, some undergrowth there. I don't know, my last retighten was exactly 4 weeks. And I think, our hair grows and loosens at different rates. So maybe like if I'm working out or if I'm washing my hair a lot or if my hair is going through growth spurt, I might need to do a retie after a certain amount of time. Maybe depending on what I'm doing or what I'm not doing, I can go a little bit longer. So the longest I've ever gone was 8 weeks. For me, I'm not going to do that again. Like it was just too much undergrowth and it took too long. So 4 weeks was really great. I liked that. I think I might settle maybe between like 5 weeks in terms of like when I'm consistently like doing my retightens. But, depending on how much growth I have, I'll kind of like assess it there. My preference is not to have too much undergrowth. So figure out what works for you in terms of like how much your hair has grown and how often you need to retighten your hair. I get no joy out of doing the actual reties, but I get so much joy once it's finished. One, because I've done it myself, and two, because it just looks really good. It's like you feel like a whole new person when your hair has been like freshly retightened. I do, anyways. And I love it at all stages. Like when I'm due for a retie and it's like fluffier and thicker, I love how it looks. Then when it's like my retie is done and it's like fresh, I'm just like, yeah, like who that? Okay, girl. I see you out there with that fresh retighten. I seriously feel like a whole new person. I love it. This final tip, if you're traveling and you're in an area where, nobody can do a retie, you could potentially get somebody with experience interlocking locks to retighten your hair for you. The best way to find somebody to do your hair, if you see them, like literally ask a person. I was in Zambia. I saw a woman with beautiful sister locks and I was like, hey, where did you get your hair done? And she told me about the salon. I had a really great experience there. They were not trained sister lock consultants, but they had been trained or shown how to do the interlocking method. They did my hair. It was a little tight. If you've ever had your hair done by an African, then you know what I mean. Like they just know how to pull every single loose strand. But it was fresh, it was popping, it was done. I didn't have to do it. It was before I learned how to do my own self-retighten, so I loved it. Yeah, so if you're traveling, I don't know, call around to some natural salons, like if you don't run into anybody with locks, and check out their website. You'll probably be able to see some of their work there, but I had no issues getting my hair done by somebody who was not a trained sister lock consultant. And like anything in life, you learn as you go and you'll figure out things that work best for you. But if you don't do it, you'll never learn. If you ever braided your hair in the past, might be a little bit of an easier experience for you. My arms hurt so much like the first time I did my retighten. They're stronger now and they're more accustomed to it, but it was rough. And now I'm like, the retightening champ. So I am not afraid of doing it. I would still rather have somebody else do it, but I feel really empowered knowing that I can now maintain my own hair again. I love it. Anyways, that's enough of me for now. Thank you so much for watching this video and for hanging out with me. I am, really excited to share some of these tips and excited to hear how you manage if you attempt your own retighten. Drop me a comment below, follow me on Instagram, DM me, drop a comment. I'm always happy to help. Yeah, and if there's any tips and suggestions that you use for yourself that work really well, please share with the community. We learn by sharing, and sharing is caring. If you like my content, follow, and share this video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.